You're listening to the Well Woman podcast. I'm your host, Jema Lee, women's menstrual cycle educator, natural fertility coach, and daytime mermaid. This is a place where we discuss all things periods, poo, ovulation, fertility, and sex. Join me weekly as we rediscover our menstrual cycles, unlock its superpowers, and guide you back into your cyclical nature. This is episode 174 of the Well Woman podcast. This is another episode of our Reclaiming Your Cycle series, and we are talking today about our final phase of our cycle, inner autumn. Now, despite what a lot of people think, inner autumn is actually one of my favorite times of my cycles. It's like having 4 kids. You can't really love one more than the other, but my mum and dad definitely love me more than anyone else because I'm the oldest of 4. But when it comes to your cycle, I individually love each of my 4 different phases in different ways for different reasons. But my inner autumn is something I absolutely love. It is a challenging autumn that brings up a lot of great experiences and also teaches me so much about my body and also my habits. But it's a really beautiful phase of your cycle when you get to know it. So today we're going to talk about what is inner autumn and how does inner autumn work? What is the actual workings and basics of the phase of inner autumn? So let me use a tree analogy with you. Now, here in Australia, or if you also live in like Asia, you'll also know about the frangipani tree. In North America, we could focus on like the maple tree, for example, is that outer seasons go through cyclical nature just as we in our inner seasons go through a cyclical nature too. So our outer seasons with our trees, you can see through winter, they have no leaves. Then in spring, they start to bud and they start to blossom, and all of a sudden their leaves come out and then they start to flower and they're in full bloom in summer. Now, after summer comes, then we move through late summer into autumn. The trees begin to lose their leaves. Now, I have a big, beautiful frangipani tree in my yard, and it's outer autumn right now in our worldly outer seasons, and it's lost or losing nearly all of its leaves. And it's a great reminder that autumn is the time of letting go. It's a time of harvesting. It's a time of shedding and releasing and getting ready to like really tune inward for our inner winter time. So nature is one of our best teachers, and our inner autumn cycle time is exactly the same. As we move to inner autumn after our ovulation time, we can be on a bit of a high still. Ovulation is very much about being out there, summer and springish and energy filled and very social. And post ovulation, when our luteal phase begins right after ovulation, we enter this void-like state. This is where the body is like, have we conceived? Have we not conceived? I'm not really sure. And when we enter this void-like state, this is where sometimes women can really deep dive into the challenging aspects of inner autumn and stay in that downward spiral. Now, whilst this is going on, biologically in our body, our hormones are starting to increase. So our progesterone is increasing. Once we've ovulated, what happens is our follicle erupts and the egg releases into the fallopian tube. It's like, yay, come and find me, sperm. And once it's there, that once erupted follicle that housed the egg now turns into what we call the corpus luteum. And this is how amazing the female body is and female anatomy is that corpus luteum then starts to produce hormones. These hormones like estrogen and progesterone are excreted, and it's not until the corpus luteum kind of figures out, and I'm using layman terms here, but kind of figures out, oh, actually we're not pregnant, so we can menstruate again, and let's do the whole thing again and ovulate and see if we can conceive next cycle. And that whole phase or time from starting to produce hormones after we've ovulated right through to beginning menstruation is roughly 10 to 14 days. Now, be aware that this time of our cycle changes depending on your lifestyle. So your overall lifestyle, from stress to sleep to how you eat, how you move, your daily rituals, how you think about yourself, your mindset, everything can impact your cycle in one way or many ways, actually. So your inner autumn time is roughly for a healthy cycle between 10 and 14 days in length. And once we get to that 9 days into the autumn phase or 8 days into the autumn phase, we've really hit that peak time of progesterone. And we're at that downward climb now. So our summertime when we ovulate is like the peak of the summit. And inner autumn, I like to describe as, the coming down to harvesting. It's a bit of a turtle phase. I like using the analogy of the animal of the turtle because I love turtles. I mean, who doesn't love turtles? They're amazing. But one, they live for so long and they are just so beautiful when you see them, especially green turtles in the ocean. So moving on. But the turtle analogy is great because we're a bit outward, but then, we're back in. And then we're a bit outward and then, we're back in. And so this is what autumn is like. We're out there and we're doing things that are like, oh, hang on, I need to take a moment for myself. Okay, I'm back. I'm out there. I'm doing stuff. I'm turning up to work. I'm helping people out. I'm being present in my relationship. I'm turning up as a mother. Oh, wait, no, I need a moment for myself. And so what's happening is we're continually being outward and inward. And this is where that turtle analogy comes from. So our inner autumn time is sometimes, I'm feeling a challenge. I'm not feeling a challenge. I'm feeling a challenge. I'm not feeling a challenge. And I use the word challenge, not issue, because these are just challenges. We can overcome them. Inner autumn often is described as the issues. I've got PMS and I've got this issue and I'm mood swingy and I'm emotionally craving food and all of the other things that go with our inner autumn time. But these are just common signs. And in our next episode, for episode 175, we are talking all about managing your emotions, mood swings, and emotional eating in this exact phase of inner autumn. So you have to tune in next week for that episode for 175. But to summarize right now, these are just common experiences. They're not normal. So I'm challenging the status duo right now is look at how you ultimately feel. And are you a bit like the turtle feeling outward and inward? The best way to support yourself right now through movement is to start moving your body with long and strong movement. So for me, I like to do longer yoga classes right now, classes that make me a little bit sweaty, but not that it's going to get my heart rate up super, super fast. So I'm not looking for a really fast vinyasa flow. I'm also looking for a hatha, steady, stable flow. If I like going to the gym, I'm looking at doing longer holds and less reps instead of lighter holds or lighter weight and more reps. So I'm not looking at burning and bringing up my heart rate really, 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 really high like a HIIT class. I'm looking at doing long and strong. Also, this time for your movement is the best time to go out and be in nature. So our inner autumn time really calls us to be grounded. Remember, we're harvesting, we're shedding, we're releasing and preparing to tune inward. So when we're looking at really going out in nature, this contributes to supporting our overall grounded feeling. So it's a great time to garden. It's a really good time to walk in nature, go hiking, go camping. My last inner autumn, I went camping and I was just in nature and I was really enjoying just the peace and quiet and the removing myself from technology, which was amazing. Strongly encourage that during your inner autumn if you like planning for your cycle. But we have an upcoming episode about productivity and planning for your cycle, so stay tuned for that. But go outside, be in nature, swim in the rivers, the creeks and the ocean or the dams or bodies of water. Take a long bath, a bath outside if possible. Shower outside if possible if it's not snowing and you're freezing your ass off already. But be outside, go skiing, go surfing. All of the things that involve nature help welcome in the feminine. They welcome in the teachings, the subtle teachings that you don't notice unless you're really, really present when you're in nature, about surrender, about flow, like watching the ocean move. Oh my God, it is the best teacher. I really believe the ocean is the best teacher for the feminine because every day it is different. It is high tide, it is low tide, it is crazy raging surf, and then it's flat as a bay, the next day. And this is the beautiful art of surrender. And when we are in nature, these subtle teachings from nature teach us and guide us unknowingly, unless you know, because if you know, you know, right? But unknowingly teach us and help us soften and drop back into our body and become more grounded. So they're all the ways that you can connect to your body and harness movement at this time of your cycle to support your inner autumn. Now, when it comes to food, your inner autumn time is all about grounding foods. So I'll speak a little bit more about this in our next episode around emotional eating and managing emotions in inner autumn. But right now, think about eating food that comes from the earth, food that is red, food that is purple, food that is orange foods 100%, like pumpkins, turmeric, carrots, or you name it. They're all fantastic. But food that comes from the earth that is grounded. So this is the time of my cycle where I like to roast food. Stir fry and roast is the theme for cooking in your inner autumn. So I love to do a big tray of roasted veggies. I, also keep them in the fridge, and then when I'm ready to have them for a roast veggie salad with maybe some steamed or cooked quinoa, I'll pull it out, sit it on the bench, and let it come to room temperature after being in the fridge, and then I'll serve up my salad. It's a great time to really hone into having like nachos. I love homemade burgers at this time. Not all places serve great burgers whilst you're eating out, but homemade burgers are fantastic. Really explore grounding foods. This is also a really good time for pastas, for risotto, for rice-based meals, you name it, grounding food. So grounding grains are also really supportive. That's why I've mentioned quinoa and rice a couple of times. You can also use millet if you like using millet. I like to use a variety of different rices. I like red rice. I like brown rice. I like brown basmati rice. Yes, that's a thing. And also black rice or wild rice. These are all really, really great grounding foods. You can have a rice porridge for breakfast. And to support yourself, start your day with protein. Now, you could say this every day, start your day with some protein, but start your day with a good protein source. Now, that doesn't mean you need to slap a piece of bacon on the barbecue or the braai. It means maybe you use some protein powder. Maybe you have some eggs. Maybe you have some salmon. Maybe you have some rice and some beans. Maybe you have lots of greens and you sprinkle nutritional yeast. Maybe you have a chia pod or chia pudding. There's lots of ways you can get your whole foods that are required for your cycle, regardless of how you choose to eat, whether that's meat-based or not meat-based. So I'm encouraging you to eat close to nature, make it colorful, go for those reddish, orangey, purpley colored foods with a dazzle of green. And that's how you can support your inner autumn. So as we wrap up, your inner autumn is a beautiful time of shedding and preparing for your menstrual time. So menstruation is a great space to rest, but your autumn time as we prepare, this is the preparation phase for menstruation, is great to prepare meals. It's great to prepare your mind. It's great to prepare your house, your work, your relationships. So how can you prepare? How can you support yourself better in your next inner autumn? So from listening from this episode, I want you to take and write down like your top 3 takeaways. And I want you to focus in your next inner autumn, not to do everything that I've mentioned, just pick 1 or 2 of those top takeaways and implement them. Do that for your entire inner autumn. Ideally, do it daily. Because remember, it's the things we do every day that count, not the things we do sometimes. So what are you doing every day on a daily basis that's really contributing to how you feel? That's really contributing to balance, to harmony, because that is what is going to help you have an aligned, balanced, and harmonic cycle. So thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of the Reclaiming Your Cycle series. I can't wait. Next week, I'll be sharing, like I said, more about inner autumn, managing emotions, emotional eating, and mood swings. And we have some really fun episodes coming up. So make sure you go and check us out on your favorite podcast app, or you can head to YouTube and check out our video episodes too. So thanks for tuning in, and I will be seeing you next week. Thank you so much for tuning into every episode of the Well Woman podcast. For everything we mentioned in today's episode, you can find this in the show notes over at wellsome.com/podcast. If this episode excited you, please hit follow on Spotify, which means all of my episodes will pop up in your feed weekly so you never miss a weekly drop. I'd love you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts too. Love this episode? Come and follow me over on Instagram at wellsome_Jema. Say hi and share what you've taken away from this episode with me. Now, is there a bestie, sister, or a friend who you know who might be fed up, frustrated, and confused with their cycles? Are they ready to join you in awakening their cyclical essence too? Well, take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your socials, email it, text it, or any way you need to get it to them. So together we can all live in flow, harmony, and balance with our cycles. Now, until next time, beautiful, get connected, listen to your body, and remember, body confidence all begins with living in tune with your menstrual cycle.